Yo, what is up guys? Welcome back to a brand new league racing video. Today is WOR around Qatar, and as you can see we're leading the championship by 24 points to Ismail Fassi, and with 3 rounds to go if you include this one, that means we can win the championship next time out in Abu Dhabi, but that also means we actually have to outscore Ismail and Thomas today by a little bit, by around 2 to 3 points. If not, then it goes to the final round, depending on how Abu Dhabi goes, of course. So let's see what we can do today around Qatar. Not my greatest track so far on this game. I didn't do great in PSGL here. I did one in WR last season around here. However, I just haven't been very comfortable on this track so far. I can't really explain why. It is a sick track, very fast. I reckon it will be incredible to drive around here in real life with all these fast corners. As we are about to finish our first lap in Q1, across the line we go. It is a 1:20.240, and yeah, that meant we had to go out again. We are currently in P7. And yeah, didn't feel comfortable staying in, so we went out again and go for another lap at the very end of Q1. So let's see if we can improve by a tenth or so. We lost a little bit of time in turn 1. Through turn 2 we go, and that is actually a small improvement as we head into the final 2 corners of sector 1, down to 6th gear. Missed the apex a little bit here. Very easy to get track limits, so we have to keep it on the road. It's a very flowy track, easy to get track limits, so once you're comfortable with those track limits, you gain a lot of lap time, easily half a tenth per corner, relative to when you're not. I didn't really look very comfortable here with the track limits. You kind of don't want to think about them, but at the same time, if you just go a millimeter too wide and get 4 wheels off the racing track, it's instantly an invalidation, so it's very difficult to get it right, and on esports level you have to be absolutely on it, and as you can see there, that's a lap invalidated. Anyway, we have made it through into Q2 nonetheless, and yeah, as you can see there, we have gone through by P15 by 1 position, and by the skin of our teeth. Philip Racing in P16. Not a great session for us. We went through by 4 100s. We could have stayed in after our first run, but yeah, we are not cooking. We need to up our game for Q2, kind of get those track limits out of our mind, and just get into a nice little rhythm as we head into Q2. I haven't gone out a lot of times in Q2 on this game. I think only like 1 or 2 times, so usually Q2 is good for us. Only one I can remember is Q2 Spa on PSGL on this game.
Suboptimal last sector.
I think I was P11 there, so yeah, that's the only time I can really remember. But back to the rest of Q2. Used tire run, as per usual, was great. New tire run, however, only gained a 10th through the left-hander. The rest of the lap was equal, and last corner was not great again.
I don't get it, man.
I'm just
so much understeer again, moving from used to new.
Missing the last corner. You can hear me
of the page, I think so.
Complain about understeer on the new tires, and that's just the story I've had on this game. Whenever I move to new tires, I'm just understeering a lot. I just can't really, yeah, get it nicely around the corner, so frustrating. Usually on my second new tire when it goes better, because then I'm used to the understeer. But I'm still just not quite driving on instinct as I'm on used tires. It's just something I can't explain, but whenever I'm on used tires, everything goes by itself, so I'm reacting to the car purely on instinct, whereas on new tires the car understeers and it just kind of scares me, especially on a track where you so easily get track limits. You don't want to get understeer, because if you just run slightly wide for a moment, you have to back out of the throttle or you get track limits. So you can see thus far on this lap 1.2 tenths up, and this one has been going better. We're P10 at the moment, and that means we have to improve, because every single person in this qualifying session is gonna improve. Or maybe not every single one of them, but at least the 4 behind me or 5 behind me, at least one of them will improve. So we have to improve here if we want to go into Q3. Otis Lawrence to a provisional P1, and again gaining time through that fast left-hander. There's a lot of time in this final corner as well if we make the apex, and we do, and that's half a tenth improvement up to the line. We are on P11, but we're gonna shoot up to the grid, make that P12. However, that is P7 at the end of Q2. Not a great session. Still not feeling comfortable. Only 1.8 tenths from P1, which, considering how I was feeling in the session, was great. I reckon if this was F1 Esports, we would not be making it into Q3 with the way I'm driving right now, or at least with this setup. Just no confidence. Somehow we have managed to scrape through again by half a tenth only. Duncan Hovland in P11, Patrick Siepels P12, our teammate Jake Benham P13, Iker Baena P14, and Luke Smith in P15. Thomas Ronnaar, our championship rival, in P1. And yeah, that's not ideal. But luckily for us, Ismail Fassi not racing today, if I remember correctly. And that gives us a chance to get closer to that title. And yeah, more or less wrap it up if we do get a win. If not, then yeah, there's still mathematically a decent chance. So on to Q3 we go. That was a used set of tires that was on.
Ready on used or new?
A 120.1, which is really good on used tires. But now we go on new, and now we don't have a new set of tires to get used to the understeer. We have to be on it straight away here, as it's the final lap of Q3, and yeah, we have to take a lot of risk. We have to push the track limits to the absolute limit. We can't miss any apexes, because if we do, we're gonna be down in P10. That's just a fact in a level of drivers that is F1 Esports. We have to be absolutely on it every single corner in this final lap of Q3, and you can see there, it's been decent so far, 1.5 tenths up. We are gonna have to improve half a second though, if we want to make it into the top 3 at least. So yeah, at the moment 2.5 tenths up, and that means we will be doing it a 119.8. We're aiming for a 119.6, but relatively to used tires, we every time gain a lot of time in those final 2 corners. So let's see if we can do that again. Through the final 2 corners we go, not flat out, a little bit of a lift, and that was not as much of a gain as I would have hoped. So Thomas goes to a provisional pole position. We gain again a lot through the final corner. It's not going to be pole position, but let's see if we can make it to the front row perhaps. Across the line we go. It's a 119.698.
P5.
And that is P5. Decent improvement. Good enough to fight for the win. But yeah, would have hoped for at least a P2 there. But yeah, it's just not, still not quite confident.
Nearly to second.
I just have to practice a lot on the track. I did have the time trial world record, but that's just different. You know, setup comes into play. You have to be driving with a setup where you're 100% comfortable with. If you want to get pole position,
I am going for hards.
An F1 Esports level grid. So
Medium.
some work to do on the setup
Yeah,
around Qatar. But we're going to be starting on the hards here around Qatar and trying to make our way to the top 3 in our first end. That will be a dream start, but let's try and get off the line first. It's a decent start of the line. We're going to have a little look down the inside, go around the outside of Otis Lawrence. In turn 1, who goes for a very late move on Thomas Gall there in turn 1. Move wasn't quite on. We got a medium runner down or inside, Tom Manley on the mediums. We are not fighting him too hard because he's going to be a lot faster. And now we've got another hard runner behind. So we are fighting those guys
Mate.
tooth and nail, if I should say. And yeah, 1 position lost. Not ideal, but it is a medium runner, so that's kind of acceptable. And now we need to fight as hard as we can to stay with him and maybe go for a move later on in the stint. So ERS situation on Qatar is not ideal because the ERS recharge is very slow, simply because there are not really any big braking zones and it's a very high downforce track on the F1 game, running near maximum downforce. And yeah, the higher you go on the wing level, the less recharge you have as well. So yeah, you need to be careful with how you use your overtake on this track. And yeah, as you can see on lap 2, we're still on pretty much maximum ERS, but we've got soft runners behind us, and I don't want to let them by ideally because the softs absolutely melt on this track. So having a little look down the inside of Otis Lawrence, can't quite do anything. It's not a great track to overtake with all those high speed long corners. Every time you get close to someone, you just get a disadvantage downforce wise, and you just lose over a lap of racing so much being behind other cars. As Duncan Hovland sends it down the inside, not much we can do. He has so much more grip at this point in the race, and yeah, we just had to let him through there. So lap 3 now, starting lap 4. Again, Luke Smith behind us on the softs. We need to try and fend them off as much as we can. We can't, however. We got 2 soft runners down our inside at the start of lap 4. They still got so much more grip. And again, I kind of want to battle them, but we kind of can't. Simply because we have to use our wall battery. And then the question is, can we actually stay ahead? Because they still have more grip. So doing a little bit of lift and coast. I did underfuel a little bit for this race because I knew how much of a DRS train it was going to be. And that way I thought I can maybe gain some positions early on in this race. Going down the inside of Luke Smith now at the start of lap 6 and making 1 position back. We're going to try and do the same with Nicolas, of course, and move ourselves back up to P7. You can see there's quite a gap from Nicolas to Duncan as their softs are starting to drop off. As I said, they do melt around here. Lap 11, and we can expect the first few people to box right here, right now. So we stay out, and we actually have to push a little bit here. We are going to get DRS, but we want to stay in that 1 second window from the guys ahead. So yeah, we're going to be pushing as hard as we can here, and close to within 1 second of Otis Lawrence ahead, and that way we can stay out longer and reap the benefits of the DRS. Only 1 DRS zone around here, which again
undercuts have I just seen.
makes it harder to overtake. You can maybe say, what in the undercut have I just seen? A lot of people boxing early and going for track position, which is crucial around here, but there is a balance to it, of course. Freddie Rasmussen and Tom Manley have both boxed, I think, so teammates, so they're probably going to try and play the game of staying out together ahead of the pack. Or, I'm kind of explaining it wrong, they're going to try and swap around each lap without losing a position to P3, and that way they can completely control the race, completely control the pace, save the tires, and that's their plan this race. What we are going to try and do is go long and hope we've got enough overpace to destroy them in the end. However, that's easier said than done. As you can see, we've used quite a bit of our battery to get within the DRS of Otis Lawrence, and he's going to be doing the same, and that's why I'm using my battery.
Is Luke staying out?
Again.
Yep.
As Luke Smith behind me staying out for another lap, so he's going to be doing 13 laps on a set of softs, and he is going to be in big trouble because he's going to get undercut and only have like 1-2 lap fresher tires than people on a similar strategy. So yeah, interesting to see what's going to happen to him. Lap 13, Otis still pushing to get in the DRS of Thomas. We are doing the same. And it's going to be interesting to see when they are going to be pulling into the pits, and they are doing that right now. And I decided to stay out because I felt like I needed more overpace towards the end of this race to get a win. Lap 14 was going to be too early. There were people boxing lap 10, lap 11, and I felt like I needed more than a 4-lap tire advantage. So I'm staying out and boxing either at the end of this lap or the end of next lap. However, it turned out to be lap 16, so 13 laps is what we're going to do on a set of mediums. These tires are pretty done and dusted, so you can see the tire wear indicator on the bottom right, and that means we had more than 60% tire wear after 16 laps. And it also means how much tire wear the others are going to be on towards the end of the race, because they're going to be on the hards and they're going to be struggling with tire wear towards the end. So
to the back of the train we go.
And as you can hear me say, to the back of the train we go, and we've got overtaking to do, which is not easy around here. So let's go for it. Out we go, and we come out in P16, and we actually got a gap to close to Valentin Bruffer. He was in the Mercedes-AMG Esports team as well as a development driver 2 years ago. Actually 2022 was his last year with us, so yeah, that is almost 2 years ago now. And yeah, he's a very, very fast guy. Very, very fast guy on very specific tracks. I think Abu Dhabi is his favorite track, and he's incredibly fast around there. But we're gonna have to try and overtake him. As you can see, Philip Rachnet ahead of us flashing, and he is struggling on the battery. So he does not have a lot of pace left. We're gonna try and overtake him straight away, because I do not want to get stuck behind him in these fast corners. And I want to get DRS from Valentin Bruffer ahead of me, so we need to get within that 1 second window. But Valentin has his tires warmed up, and we don't. Qatar has the hardest compound available, or yeah, almost the hardest compound available. It's the C321, which used to be the hardest compounds available, but F1 brought the C0 last year, of course, even though they didn't use it. But now, lap 18, we're going to try and get past Iker Baena again on this exit. You can see how much more grip we have. So we're going to turn on the overtake button and move past him. Iker on those older mediums struggling. So past we go, and up to P18. And now we are in the DRS of Valentin. You can see Nicolas Longue in P12 on the hards. He's going to be struggling a lot relatively to us. He's on all the tires, and they are the harder compound. So finally we got DRS. We're not going to be using any of our battery anymore. We're just going to be staying back a little bit here and recharge our battery with the help of DRS at 23.1, which is over a second improvement relative to our previous best lap. So DRS we got in lap 19, and we're gonna move past Nicolas Longue and Valentin Bruffer into turn 1 and move up to the point paying positions. And now we are starting to get to the leading pack. There are actually 2 groups at the moment, but there will be 1 soon. Kai Pearson ahead of me next. He has come from Xbox, one of the top drivers on Xbox. He used to be, I think, fighting Otis Lawrence for Xbox titles on F1 22. Now he's moved to PC as well. And yeah, on the PC kind of things, it's a little bit harder to be fighting for titles, of course. Simply due to all the F1 esports drivers being on PC. As Kai actually went for a bit of a slide there in the hairpin. And
power slide?
Yeah, a little power slide there for him. Lock the rears, very easy to do in those hairpins.
Bit of a whoops.
It is one of the fastest ways to drive on F1 23, especially in qualifying, to have a tiny bit of a slide in the hairpins, especially on the lower downforce tracks and the lower grip surfaces on F1 23. Bahrain is probably the worst one. But yeah, you have to control it really well. You can't just fully lock the rear and drift around every corner. It has to be very controlled. And now, 6 laps to go. We're behind the leading pack, and we're gonna have to try and get past Luke Smith ahead of us. However, our tire advantage is starting to fade away as well. So Jake in P6 with a time penalty. Not sure if that will be removed, of course. So ideally we get past all of them. And now behind Luke Smith in lap 24. You can see Jake flashing. I was kind of hoping they would start to fight, but unfortunately nothing yet. And we're just stuck behind for one more lap. I didn't want to use my battery too much yet. I kind of just want to wait into the final few laps. And luckily for us, Luke Smith going on the attack into turn 1, going down the inside of Jake Benham, and unfortunately he's missed his braking point.
Oh my god.
And taken 2 other drivers out, and that is beautiful news for us. Not so great news for the other drivers, of course. And that moves us up to P5. And yeah, we will be losing points at the moment to Thomas Ronhaar, who's P3 in the championship, but gaining to Ismail Fassi as he's not driving today. So no matter how many points we get, we're gaining points to Ismail Fassi, and we're bringing the title closer to us if we do so. So ideally we win this race here, but yeah, that's looking a bit unlikely. We are back up to P5, our starting position into the final lap of this race. You can see Thomas having a little look down the inside of Tom Manley in turn 1. Couldn't quite make it work. And we're gonna try and go for a move on Otis. Realistically, the maximum we can get here is P4, unless an incident up front happens. As I said early on in this video, Tom Manley and Freddie Rasmussen just controlled the race up front. Pace was not anything special, but they just could control it, control the tire wear, and yeah, that's what they did. So let's see if we can go for a move late on in this lap. This middle sector and the last few corners of sector 3 are all too high speed to really go for a move, but maybe we can get a good run out of the final corner on Otis Lawrence to go for a move across the line, but that is looking quite unlikely because he's not flashing yet, and that means he's not below 10% ERS. Neither are we, but yeah, we're gonna have to need a lot of overspeed to go for P4. Unfortunately, it's just not a great track to race on. It's so hard to overtake, and even though we did come back out on track in P16 and we overtook 11 people, that was purely because of a tire advantage. And the tire advantage just faded away throughout the stint.
What did Luke do?
Mate, these driving standards are completely unacceptable, mate.
And luckily for us, we did move up to P4 after this race, as Freddie got a 3-second time penalty for track limits. And that gives us a 12-point gain to Ismail Fassi in the championship and helps us move closer to our WR title. I don't know how much WR titles I have actually. I did win last season, and I know I won on F1 2022 one title. I don't know if I won one before, but nonetheless, it's been a great season so far. We haven't really won a lot of races, but we just been consistently in P4, P3, P2, P4, P5 all the time, and that just gives us so many points. So I hope you guys enjoyed another WOR video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and see you guys next time. Ciao.